Everyone burst into laughter when 12-year-old Jace Whitman, his clothes smeared with grease and sneakers full of holes, reached out to touch the bright red Ferrari parked outside Langston's luxury auto lounge. A furious woman in high heels came storming over, yelling at him to back away. She had no idea who he was, or what he was capable of. What happened next would leave the entire crowd speechless, shatter every assumption, and leave one of the city's wealthiest women completely stunned. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring you more inspiring stories. Now, let's begin. The sun was relentless that Saturday afternoon in downtown Los Angeles. Its glare bounced off the polished glass storefronts and the glossy hoods of exotic cars lined up in front of Langston's. People walked past in designer clothes, sipping iced coffee, and posing for selfies beside Lamborghinis and Bentleys. But all eyes suddenly shifted to a lone 12-year-old boy making his way down the sidewalk. His oversized shirt hung loosely on him, stained with motor oil. His curly brown hair looked like it hadn't seen a comb in days. One hand carried a battered old toolbox, the other wiped sweat from his brow. His name was Jace Whitman. Jace stopped in front of a striking red Ferrari, its curves glowing under the sunlight. His eyes lit up with wonder. He crouched down for a closer look at the wheel, then reached out and placed his hand lightly on the hood, almost as if he could feel the heartbeat of the engine. Jace didn't notice the woman approaching until it was too late. "Get your filthy hands off my car," she screamed, her heels clicking aggressively against the pavement. She wore a beige power suit and oversized sunglasses, her expression full of disdain. "Do you have any idea how much this car costs? People like you don't touch cars like this." Jace pulled his hand back at once. "Sorry, ma'am," he said softly, eyes lowered. She scoffed loudly. "You shouldn't even be here. Go back to wherever you came from. This isn't a junkyard." A few people nearby started to chuckle. Some took out their phones, recording and whispering cruel remarks. But Jace stood still, unshaken. Looking up with calm eyes, he said, "I think your car's about to stall. The engine timing sounds off." She stared at him like he'd just spoken a foreign language. "Excuse me. I can fix it," he said simply. "I know engines." The laughter grew louder. A man in a suit chuckled. "Oh really? The kid who looks like he climbed out of a dumpster is now a Ferrari expert." Jace didn't respond. He just took a step back, raising both hands as if to say, "Suit yourself." But the woman hesitated. She climbed into the driver's seat, turned the key, and tried to start the engine. It sputtered, once, twice, then stalled. Silence fell over the crowd. Looking puzzled, she glanced around. What's happening?" Jace spoke again. "Your camshaft sensor is loose. That model has a known issue. I saw the error code on your dashboard." Her face tightened. "And how exactly do you know that?" Jace shrugged lightly. "My dad taught me everything before he passed. I fix cars every day now." The crowd went quiet. The woman looked from the car to the boy, torn between pride and irritation. Finally, she exhaled sharply. "Fine," she said. "Fix it. But if you make it worse, you'll regret it." Jace gave her a small, confident nod, as though this was nothing new for him. Kneeling down, he opened his rusty toolbox and pulled out a few tools. What happened next left everyone around in complete disbelief, and it was only the beginning. Jace's hands moved with practiced ease, steady, focused, never rushed. As he lifted the Ferrari's hood, a small crowd began to gather, forming a silent circle. The woman stood nearby, arms crossed, heel tapping impatiently. "You've got 5 minutes," she snapped. "Don't break anything." Jace didn't reply. He scanned the engine like a surgeon preparing for an operation. Despite being stained with grease, his hands were remarkably gentle as he reached near the sensor module by the camshaft. He gave it a careful twist, inspected the nearby wires, then adjusted a connector with precision. His face stayed calm, like someone who'd done this hundreds of times. And in truth, he had. Across the street, a man wearing aviator sunglasses leaned against a Bentley, chewing gum. "This ought to be good," he laughed. "Ferrari repairs. By a kid in rags." "Someone better film this," a teenage girl nearby said, raising her phone. "This is going viral for sure." Jace ignored the whispers, tuning out the noise. His mind was entirely focused on the machine in front of him. He tightened a bolt, realigned a wire, then stood up and glanced at the woman. "Try it now," he said calmly. She narrowed her eyes. "You really think you fixed it?" Jace didn't answer. Sliding into the seat, she pressed the ignition button. The Ferrari purred to life, smooth, quiet, flawless. For a few stunned seconds, no one moved. Then came a collective gasp. The laughter stopped. A man wearing a Porsche cap stepped forward, whispering, "He actually did it." The woman blinked, as though struggling to process what had just happened. She revved the engine once, twice, each time it responded perfectly. Stepping out slowly, her earlier sharp tone softened. Her gaze lingered on Jace, seeing him now in a very different light. What did you do?" she asked. Jace stood, wiping his hands on an old rag. "It was just loose," he said simply. "That model sometimes has a sensor glitch when the wire shifts from vibration." She didn't speak. Someone from the crowd asked, "What's your name, kid?" "Jace Whitman," he replied. "Where'd you learn to fix cars like that?" the woman asked quietly. "My dad was a mechanic," he said. "Passed away last year. Now I help out at our garage. We fix cars for folks who can't afford much." For a moment, she stood frozen. Her lips parted as though she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Then, from behind, the man leaning against the Bentley stepped closer. "You know, I own a performance shop just 2 blocks away," he said. "Could use a smart kid like you." Jace looked up. "Thank you, sir, but I work at my dad's place. We help people who really need it." The woman's expression shifted again, something new flickering in her eyes. "Wait here," she said suddenly. She walked to her car door, reached inside, pulled out a business card, and hesitated. "If you ever need anything," the woman said slowly, her tone softer now, "call me. I misjudged you. I was wrong." Jace glanced at the business card she handed him. It read, "Clarissa Langston, owner, Langston Luxury Motors." The crowd began to break up, but the air still buzzed with murmurs and lingering stares. Phones were still pointed at him. The same people who had mocked him minutes earlier were now looking at him like he was something rare and valuable. Jace picked up his old toolbox, gave a small nod, and began walking away. But as he turned the corner, what he didn't know was that someone else had been watching the entire scene, and they weren't laughing. Just as Jace rounded the corner onto Wilshire Boulevard, a sleek black SUV rolled slowly away from the curb across the street. Its tinted windows kept the driver's identity hidden, but inside, someone had witnessed everything. The insult, the laughter, the boy's quiet confidence as he fixed the Ferrari, and the stunned silence that followed. The SUV pulled out carefully, following Jace from a distance. Silent, unnoticed. Meanwhile, Jace kept walking, his worn-out sneakers smacking against the pavement with every step. He had no idea that his name was already beginning to spread across the internet. Within minutes of leaving the luxury car dealership, video clips titled things like "Boy Fixes Rich Woman's Ferrari After She Yelled at Him" and "Mechanic Kid Stuns Beverly Hills" started gaining views on social media. But Jace didn't care about going viral. His mind was already back at the garage, thinking about the broken Toyota Corolla waiting for him, the one Miss Penny down the street couldn't afford to repair. He had a plan: use parts from the old Civic they'd scrapped last week. Jace never fixed cars for money or fame. He fixed them because he loved engines, and because it kept his father's memory alive. A few blocks later, he turned onto Maple Drive, where his family's auto shop sat between a taco stand and an old dry cleaner. The faded sign above the door read, "Whitman Auto Repair. Honest hands, honest work." Inside was the familiar chaos of tools, lifts, and spare car parts. On the back wall hung a photo of his dad, wearing grease-stained coveralls, holding baby Jace in one arm and a wrench in the other. Jace stepped inside, dropped his toolbox onto the bench, and let out a small breath. He was home. Meanwhile, back at Langston Luxury Motors, Clarissa Langston sat in her office, staring at the security footage on her screen. She replayed the moment Jace touched her Ferrari, the moment he mentioned the camshaft sensor, the instant the engine roared to life under his hands. Leaning back in her chair, her eyes narrowed. Whitman, she murmured to herself. Why does that name sound familiar? Opening her laptop, she quickly typed the name into a search engine. As the results appeared, her expression tightened. Whitman Auto Repair, family-owned business. Founded by Thomas Whitman, former lead mechanical engineer for Stallion Motorworks. Deceased. Survived by son, Jace Whitman. Clarissa sat up straighter. Thomas Whitman, she whispered again, this time with recognition dawning in her voice. He's the one who designed the modular hybrid torque system. I tried to hire him 10 years ago. Her eyes widened. And that boy is his son. Without hesitation, she stood up. Bring the car around, she instructed her assistant. I've got somewhere I need to be. Across town, parked discreetly on a rooftop overlooking the Whitman garage, the black SUV came to a stop. The driver stepped out, a tall man wearing a gray blazer, his face half hidden behind sunglasses and unshaven stubble. He snapped a photo of the garage sign, then another, zooming in on Jace, now working beneath the hood of a Civic inside the shop. Pulling out his phone, the man dialed a number. I found him, he said. On the other end, a cold voice responded. Bring him in. Quietly. Jace had no idea that life as he knew it was about to change forever. Not just because of the Ferrari, but because of a secret his father had kept hidden for years. Jace leaned further under the Corolla's hood, adjusting a hose clamp with the same steady focus he had used earlier that day. The shop around him was mostly quiet, just the occasional rumble of traffic outside and the metallic clinks of tools against steel. His hands moved instinctively, as though they remembered things his mind hadn't yet learned. For Jace, every wire and bolt told a story. Every engine had a voice, and he had taught himself to listen. What he didn't notice was the man watching him from across the street. Inside the black SUV, the man in the gray blazer adjusted his earpiece and glanced at his watch. Kids alone, he muttered. Then, with careful, practiced movements, he opened the car door and stepped out. Crossing the street with the calm confidence of someone used to getting what they want, he called out, "Excuse me, are you Jace Whitman?" Startled, Jace pulled himself upright and wiped his hands on a rag. "Yes. Can I help you?" The man offered a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You fixed a Ferrari earlier today. Very impressive." "Thanks," Jace answered cautiously. The man took another step closer. "My name's Donovan Creed. I work for a private engineering firm. We're very interested in young talents like yours." Jace tilted his head, skeptical. "I just fix cars." Donovan's grin widened. "And you diagnosed a Ferrari camshaft issue by ear. That's far from ordinary." Before Jace could respond, another voice rang out from behind them. "I knew someone would come." It was Clarissa Langston. She stepped out of her silver Mercedes, sunglasses now gone, her eyes sharp with determination. She walked into the garage like she owned the place, something she was used to in her world. Giving Donovan a pointed look, she turned to Jace. "Don't listen to him," she warned. "He's not who he says he is." Donovan's smile faded. "This doesn't concern you, Clarissa." "Oh, but it is my business," Clarissa said firmly, her voice low but full of warning. "Because the boy you're trying to snatch is the son of a man I tried to recruit 10 years ago. A man who turned down a 7-figure offer because he believed in something bigger." Her eyes narrowed. "And now you want his son?" Jace stood frozen between the two adults, unsure who to trust, unsure what was happening. Clarissa turned toward him, her tone softening. "Jace, your father was one of the most brilliant automotive engineers of his generation. He created technology years ahead of its time. What you're doing with cars, it's not just talent. It's your legacy. Donovan stepped forward, ignoring her. Jace, we can offer you so much more, he said smoothly. Access to world-class labs, advanced technology, financial support. You don't need to spend your life stuck in this dusty little garage. Jace shook his head quietly. I'm not in this for money, he said, voice steady. I just like fixing things, helping people. A small smile tugged at the corner of Clarissa's mouth. Then let me help you, but on your terms. Donovan's tone hardened. You're making a big mistake, he said, voice sharp now. You have no idea what your father left behind, do you? Jace frowned, confusion flashing across his face. What do you mean? Without a word, Donovan reached into his blazer pocket and pulled out a small flash drive. This, Donovan said, holding it up, contains the last blueprint your father ever created. The real reason he went off the grid. You think he just ran a neighborhood garage? No. He was protecting something. Something big. Clarissa's expression changed instantly. Her eyes locked onto the flash drive with sudden realization. Jace reached out and took the drive cautiously. Why give this to me? He asked. Donovan leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a near whisper. Because others will come, and trust me, they won't ask politely like I did. Before Jace could respond, screeching tires pierced the air outside. A black van came speeding around the corner, aiming straight for the garage. Donovan's eyes widened. Too late, he muttered. Clarissa reacted instantly. She grabbed Jace's arm with surprising force. Get in the car. Now. Jace hesitated for only a split second, then bolted after her. Donovan turned and ran in the opposite direction. Inside Clarissa's silver Mercedes, she jammed the key into the ignition and slammed her foot on the gas. The tires spun as they shot forward. The van skidded to a stop in front of the garage just as the Mercedes peeled away. Black-suited men jumped out, charging toward the garage doors, but Jace was already gone. As they weaved through city traffic at high speed, Clarissa glanced over at him. Whatever your father was hiding, someone out there wants it, she said, voice tight with urgency. And they think you hold the key. Jace sat in the passenger seat, clutching the flash drive in a tight fist. His heart pounded as questions flooded his mind. The streets of Los Angeles blurred past the windows as Clarissa maneuvered through traffic with skilled precision. Every sharp turn, every sudden lane change spoke of experience in situations like this. Jace stared down at the flash drive in his palm, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. Every word Donovan had said replayed in his head, like an alarm bell that wouldn't stop ringing. Something his father had hidden. Something people were now willing to chase him for. Clarissa's hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. Her eyes flicked from the road to the rearview mirror, watching for any sign they were being followed. We lost them, for now, she said, keeping her voice steady but urgent. But that van, that was no random scare tactic. Whoever's after you, they're organized, well-funded, and dangerous. Jace swallowed hard, staring out at the blurred city lights. What did my dad do? He whispered. She gave him a serious look. Your father built something important. I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know this, it's not just an engine. Whatever it was powerful enough to terrify corporations, and dangerous enough that he chose to disappear with it. Jace turned the flash drive over in his palm, staring at it. Why would he hide it from me? He asked quietly. Clarissa guided the car into an underground parking garage below one of her private office buildings. The metal gate slammed shut behind them with a heavy clank. As she switched off the engine, she turned fully toward him. Because he wanted to protect you, she said. And deep down, I think he knew a day would come when you'd have to finish what he started. They climbed out of the car. A private elevator whisked them up to a secure, glass-walled lab buzzing with monitors, sensors, and humming equipment. Clarissa walked over to a touchscreen console and tapped the screen. A sleek holographic interface appeared. "Let's find out what's on that drive," she said. Jace hesitated, then inserted the flash drive into the console. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, a file loaded. Nova Pulse Module, Confidential Prototype, T. Whitman. A complex blueprint unfolded across the screen, layer after layer of detailed schematics, wiring diagrams, and handwritten notes. Much of the advanced engineering language went over Jace's head, but somehow, the design felt familiar. His instincts recognized it. Clarissa's eyes widened in shock. "This is a clean energy system," she breathed. "It captures thermal waste and converts it into continuous kinetic energy. No fuel, no emissions, no limits." She turned to Jace, astonishment written all over her face. "Jace, this could change everything." Jace stepped back, staring at the display. "My dad built this. He designed it," Clarissa confirmed. "But he never launched it. He must have known it would attract the wrong kind of attention. If this had fallen into the wrong hands..." A sharp beep interrupted her. An urgent security alert flashed across the monitors. "Intrusion detected. Parking garage level." Clarissa's face turned grim. "They found us," she said, her voice clipped with urgency. Suddenly, alarms blared. The lab lights dimmed to red, shifting into emergency mode. Jace's gaze bounced from the blueprint to Clarissa. "I have to finish this," he said with determination. She grabbed his shoulder firmly. "Then you need to run. Right now." But Jace stood his ground. "No, I can build it. I know this system. I've seen these diagrams, these shapes, in my dad's notebooks for years." Clarissa hesitated, calculating. "You won't have enough time." Jace pointed at the prototype schematic glowing on the screen. "I can, but I'll need my tools, and I need to be somewhere they'd never think to look." Her eyes narrowed as she realized what he meant. "Your garage," she said. He nodded. No one's expecting a world-changing invention to be built behind a taco stand. Without wasting another second, Clarissa handed him a burner phone, a small toolkit, and the original flash drive. "Go. Now," she ordered. "I'll buy you time." "You're putting yourself in danger," Jace said, worry flashing across his face. She gave him a faint smile. "You already fixed my engine. Time for me to return the favor." Jace didn't waste another second. He bolted for the stairwell, racing down the fire escape, cutting through alleyways, jumping over fences. He didn't stop running until the weathered old sign came into view. "Whitman Auto Repair. Honest hands, honest work." For the first time, the small garage felt like more than just home. It felt like a safe haven, and a place where something extraordinary was about to happen. Inside, Jace cleared off the biggest workbench, spreading the blueprint carefully across its surface. He fired up the old soldering station and surveyed the parts scattered across the shop. Scraps from old engines, bits of wiring, salvaged circuit boards, and mechanical odds and ends he'd been collecting for years. And then, he got to work. Piece by piece, wire by wire, bolt by bolt. Outside, the city carried on, completely unaware that tucked between a taco stand and a dry cleaner, a 12-year-old boy was about to rebuild the future from the scattered fragments of his past. And this time, no one would laugh. Because when the world finally saw what Jace Whitman created, it would never doubt him again.